Test, test, test. Good. Hey, y'all are getting good at that. This is good. Okay, welcome everyone. You are almost through your first full day of the annual meeting 2025. How does that feel? Good, good, good. Also, welcome to anyone joining us online. If y'all didn't know, we are broadcasting this live as part of our TMN Tuesday on a Friday for our October TMN Tuesday. And we have a great presentation coming up. Also, I'd like to note that this is our first ever time to broadcast our TMN Tuesday live from the annual meeting. So you're in an inaugural moment. So you should appreciate that. So our presentation tonight is From Passion to Profession, the Unexpected Power of Volunteering with the Texas Master Naturalists. Now, this came in as just a classroom session. And when we read the description, which I'm going to read a little snippet just so you can see why we had to make this a keynote. But when we read this, we decided this has to be for everybody. Nobody should be missing out on this presentation. Hence us also recording it, so it will be on our website later for you to enjoy. Now, how they started their pitch for their classroom session was many joined the Texas Master Naturalist program to learn about nature, give back to their community, or find a new hobby. But for some, the program is the start of a life-changing journey. This panel features 3 Texas Master Naturalists whose volunteer experiences transformed their personal and professional paths in unexpected ways. From launching new careers in conservation to returning to school, their stories highlight how volunteering can exceed expectations and open doors to new opportunities. So, without further ado, please join me in welcoming Jill Zipperer, Texas State University doctoral candidate. Lauren Young, Texas Department of Transportation environmental planner. And Sam Kieschnick, Texas Parks and Wildlife urban wildlife biologist.
Right. Hi, everybody. What an honor it is to get to be here and talk to y'all tonight. Let's see. Aha. So we are here to talk to you about how our passions became our professions. So they've already introduced us. I guess we were planning to introduce ourselves. So thank you for doing that. All right. I want you to imagine that you're a small child and you are growing up in the piney woods of Texas. You're in a town that has 80 miles of hiking and biking trails that go through the town. You have free reign of the tunnels and the secret areas in the forest. And you're encouraged by your parents to be a little wild, feral child hanging out in the woods. So what would you do? Naturally, you would pretend to be Steve Irwin. That was my childhood, getting to explore and romp around in the forest. And I'm so grateful that I had parents that encouraged that. My dad taught me to fish and to kayak, and my sweet, sweet mother, despite not being a self-proclaimed nature person or an animal person, encouraged every animal that my father and I brought home, from random turtles to birds to fish. And I'm super grateful for those experiences and for having a community around me as a child that encouraged me to do things like reading every possible animal book that I could find at the library. And as I was going through my pictures from my childhood, I thought, I sure am holding animals in a lot of my childhood photos. I cut this slide in half, so there were even more animals. And I'm like, I wonder where that came from. Why am I like this? And then I found the picture on the bottom of my grandmother holding a probably 3-foot barracuda. And I thought, you know what? That's where that came from. So I know I've always had this nature community around me. And not many people are lucky enough to get to have a picture like I have on the top here. This is a picture of the very first moment I knew I wanted to be a naturalist. I stole my brother's stuffed bat, and my father and I made a bat diorama based on a project that my first grade teacher required us to do after our trip to the Houston Zoo. And from then, I was sold. I knew this is what I wanted to do. And because of the community around me, I went from being a child full of pictures of me holding animals to being an adult with pictures of me holding animals. Except the difference now is that I married an incredible man who encourages that. He does wild things like backpacking the Grand Canyon and canyon rappelling in Australia with me. Everywhere we go on our travels, he helps me to find a zoo or an aquarium. He even, on our very first trip together, listened to 4 hours of snail facts as I was working on a project. And when we first started dating, he was shocked to hear that I hadn't watched many famous pop culture movies, to which I replied, but I do still have my original box set of Planet Earth, so we could watch that. So from the very beginning, I've been surrounded by people that have inspired me and lifted me up to be the nature nerd that I am. And without these people, I wouldn't be where I am today, but it definitely was not a straight line to get to here. So after graduating high school, I decided to enroll at Texas State University. And this is a cliche, but I fell in love with the San Marcos River. And if you've never had the chance to go float the river, make a trip, go do it. 72 degrees, pristine, crystal clear water. How could you not fall in love with the ecosystem? During my time at Texas State, I found a new community in my new home. I was involved in organizations. I was an elementary education major because I knew I wanted to share my overwhelming excitement about life with small children. So I volunteered for organizations like ACEI, where we promoted education for local children. I got to work at a nonprofit called Girl Start that was based out of Austin that does informal science education for 4th and 5th grade girls, actually across the country now. And so I worked as an after-school STEM crew intern with a group of girls, and every week we learned about different careers in science and did hands-on experiments, and it was incredible. It was so inspiring. I also got to work one of the most fun jobs I've ever had in my entire life, and that was at the Aquatic Science Adventure Camp at Texas State, where every week I got to take campers out. We went cave spelunking, we went scuba diving, river rafting. I taught kids how to collect insects from the river. It was incredible. And it got to fulfill my personal need for being a nature nerd while also fulfilling the need for a community. I also served the community in other non-scientific ways, working for organizations like School Fuel. And every week we packed lunches and dinners for families in the community that needed them. Finally, I joined Informal Science Education Association of Texas, ISE, and that is an incredible organization that is working to get science in the hands of everyone across the state. So actually, I went back through my files, and you'll see that picture on the bottom right is me at my very first ISE conference. And one of the things that I remember most from that conference, aside from my boss making me sing Metallica karaoke with him, was sitting at this table with some people that I had never met. And I want you to look at the face of the woman on the right because she's going to show up again about 10 years later. Oh, and now I get the privilege of serving on that board for the State Informal Science Association. Thank you. It's really just a bunch of other nature nerds getting together. After I graduated from Texas State, I had the privilege of becoming a 5th grade teacher in Dripping Springs ISD. So incredibly fun, and I really got to channel all of my inner nerdiness and silliness. And so I tried to go through and find the dorkiest pictures that I possibly could. So if you look across the top there, those are pictures from me taking my kids camping, from me dressing as a colonial pioneer woman for our Pioneer Day. I made an "Oh Christmas Tree" light up sweater for our science Christmas Day. And then the second to right, that's my chicken hat that I would break out just when you need it. And then finally there at the end, that's not necessarily a dorky picture, but I went on to get my master's degree in middle school science education because I just couldn't get enough. But while I was serving as a classroom teacher, not only was I working to build a strong classroom community in my room, I was also working to build a community across the school and across the local area. So starting from left to right, that bottom left picture, it's a little bit dark, but those are our 3 hens in our chicken coop. It started as a donated coop, and with crowdsourcing and community funding and asking a lot of people to help learn how to feed chickens, I was able to start the first chicken coop at Dripping Springs Elementary. And it's still going, even though I'm not there anymore. The next picture is my car full of donations, where we got our children to do a donation drive for our local pet shelter. They even created flyers for each of the animals as advertisements for why people should adopt them. The next one is a picture of a science fair project from one of my students in our after-school science fair program, where they developed and implemented their own science experiments and then went and competed at the Austin Regional Downtown Contest. And then finally on the far right, that's a picture from our school garden that started as a bunch of sad, overgrown, dead sunflowers. And with donations, again, from the community and from the work of lots of children and families, we were able to build a school garden. So one of the things that I learned is not only should you build your community, but you should also be willing to go and ask for help from anyone in your community. The worst that they could say is no, right? And if you have cute kids with you, they'll probably say yes. During my time as a teacher, I heard about this incredible organization called the Texas Master Naturalists, and I knew immediately that I wanted to be a part of it, but I had no idea how it worked. So I found the phone number for our local training director, Mary O'Hara, who is up there in the top left with me, and I called her like it was an interview and said, "Hi, yes, I'd like to apply, please." So once I figured it out in the spring of 2022, I was able to join the Hays County Master Naturalist Cara class. Woohoo! And through my involvement in the organization, I've gotten to meet incredible people and work on some incredible projects. Down at the bottom left, a bunch of you are probably in that picture because that is from the McAllen solar eclipse. And looking around at all of you fellow nature nerds staring up at the sky with your glasses made me realize that I had found a community that I knew I wanted to be a part of. I've had the privilege of presenting on multiple different topics here at the state conference and for my chapter. I got to work in the top right-hand corner on our beautiful Hays County coloring book project, which award-winning, thank you. I got to serve as the educational consultant, helping to make sure that it was rigorous enough where classroom teachers in our local community could use that coloring book based around our local parks to get kids interested in civic and social sciences. And then down at the bottom, I have earned the honor of being a certified interpretive guide and trainer through the National Association for Interpretation, which means that I now get to help other people learn how to do things like lead guided hikes for non-scientists. Oh, thanks. Hey, thanks. During my time with the Texas Master Naturalists, like I said, I met some incredible people. And because I have a tendency to open my mouth and just talk to anybody that's around me, oops, sorry. At my very first Master Naturalist class, I met this woman and I started talking to her about how I'd love to get my PhD and how I'm a teacher and I would love to go back and study community science and girls in science. And she let me give my whole spiel and then said, "That's my department at Texas State. Would you like to quit your job and come get your PhD?" And I said, "Yeah." And that woman is here in the audience. That's Dr. Christy Daniel. Raise your hand. She is that woman from the informal science picture 10 years ago that I met at the table and I didn't know who she was. And that is just one example of the many ways that our lives have crossed over the past decade. And because of her, I'm not going to cry. Because of her, I made the really hard decision to leave the classroom, but I also got to enter into this world of academia. So I am now at Texas State, and one of the first projects I got to work on with her was our Research Rangers project. So here I have multiple different pictures of us implementing our educational activities. We like to do booths. We have a seasonal event that we do at breweries, and we have got science in the hands of hundreds, if not thousands, of kids around Hays County, and even we had someone from Finland stop at our table. So we're getting it around the world. In addition to working with research rangers, I've gotten to work with other incredible teams in my time at Texas State. Again, building a new community. So these pictures here are just some of the people from our lab that I've had the privilege of working with on different projects and really challenging and encouraging each other to stretch our brains. I've also had the privilege of getting to go around the country and present my research at different academic conferences, which has been a huge honor and incredibly terrifying. So big shout out to our A&M students who did that the other day because that's scary. I also had the privilege last year of getting to be part of the academic research team that did a study on all of you. So those of you that completed our survey last year, we were able to do a study on volunteer motivation. So that's a picture from our table setup last year. But in addition to working on different team projects, I'm also working on my personal dissertation, which I bet you could probably guess what it's about. It's about communities. So I look at community perceptions of science and scientists in different contexts. So that brewery event that I mentioned just a minute ago, we do those every season, and we set up games and activities, and I get to do research on the families that are bringing their kids there. I'm asking the adults what their perceptions are of science in their community, and I've gotten some very interesting responses so far, but that's still a work in progress. I also get to work on our service learning interpretation class at Texas State that Christy also leads because our lives are heavily intertwined. And through this class, the students are learning how to do interpretation and leading guided hikes with kids by doing field biology and actually getting out into the world. And this is a picture of them learning how to do this at the zoo. Now, my third study involved me following Christy around Ireland for a month last year as she led her service learning class abroad. And I got to study those students. So with all of these classes, I'm looking to see what are our community members' thoughts about science and scientists, and how can we strengthen any gaps that may exist? I'm about halfway through. I've advanced to candidacy, and so hopefully in the future I'll be able to answer that question for y'all. So with all that said, I have a challenge for you. And again, bet you can't guess, my challenge has to do with community. I want you all, please, to go back to your chapter and to find a project in your community that you never would have chosen to do otherwise. Go talk to someone that you don't know, ramble on to them about the things that mean a lot to you, because they may mean a lot to them too. And it may open doors that you didn't even know were closed for you. And my very final thing that I want to say, it's kind of hard for you to read it, but that one there in the middle is from my classroom. I've kept that all these years, even though I'm not in the classroom, and it was from a student who really struggled in school. And I asked them to do an activity that was draw a scientist for me. And she turned this in, and it says, "When I think of a scientist, I think of me." So I'm going to leave you with that, because you never know who is watching and what community you can build. Thank you.
You made me cry and I have to go next. No pressure. Hi, guys. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for being present and active and enjoying my Super Bowl of the year. Hi, family. If we haven't met yet, I am Lauren Young. You're going to see a theme tonight. We were all mega nerds when we were little. We're still mega nerds, but we embrace that title. Absolutely. So I also was exposed to nature at a very young age, and maybe the Pisces in me fell in love with being around the water. So look at that cute little munchkin in her life jacket, being safe. When I was 6 years old, that picture on the bottom left was my first trip to the Texas coast. Sorry, back up. Born and raised in Fort Worth, and went to see the Texas coast for the first time. So that's actually riding on the Port Aransas jetty, and I was hooked. Hooked so much that at one of the gift shops, my grandparents got me my very first field guide. It may be hard to see, but she's a little loved. She's a little worn. I studied this and read. I didn't even know what my future was, but I knew that this was the spark that was going to light the fire. Granted, I was 6 and I didn't quite understand what that meant or what that would translate, but lots of little kids hem and haw over what they're going to be when they grow up, like doctors and vets and moms and teachers. I told my mom when I was 8 I was going to be a marine biologist. And I never wavered from that. Around that same time, and hi, Mom, she's watching online right now. Love you, mean it. She instilled in me to get an education and to volunteer and give back to our community. We are so blessed, and this is our way to give back. And again, marine biology, volunteer, you'll see the theme here. Will stick with me. So yes, outside of, once I graduated high school, I went to are we a cousin, Mary Pearl? A&M Corpus Christi? Are we like a distant relative? Real Disney. All right. I still earned that ring. So shakas up, go Islanders. Loved it so much. I stayed and got my master's because I'm a glutton for punishment. And I really love school. And had the honor and privilege of getting really hands-on experience, learning how to drive boats, IDing fish. I worked in a benthic coastal ecology lab and picked polychaetes under a microscope, and I loved every second of it. I embraced every Disney movie. Of course, that's my picture with Dory because that's what you do. And then also, again, with the Islander Pride, and happy to stay involved in the alumni organization to give back to that next generation as well, knowing how much that I was blessed with my time there. So again, volunteered with my mom growing up. Obviously, that trend continued. Shocking, I know. And I had the really cool, I mean, we brought frogs and things home, but my mom didn't really like it. But when I made up for it last time in college, that is me at my first sea turtle release. I volunteered for years at what is now the Tony Amos Rehabilitation in Port Aransas. It was the Rehabilitation Keep, my apologies, ARC, at the University of Texas Marine Science Institute. I was there every Sunday, prepping breakfast, feeding the turtles and shorebirds, and I always drew the short straw and ended up having to clean the filter room. But again, I was just happy to be there and to give back. So that is a photo of me walking down to the jetties to go release my first sea turtle back into the Gulf of Mexico. Very cool, yeah. So turtle hugger, you'll catch up with me later. The picture on the top right, another great opportunity. I volunteered for years with the Texas Marine Mammal Stranding Network. I think that was my second live dolphin that stranded that I had the opportunity to work with. And so I know it's hard to see with masks on, but it says crash across the top. I'm not a bad driver, I promise. I'm just really clumsy and had a terrible fall literally seconds before that dolphin came in, threw on a wetsuit that they end up having to cut off me later because of, yeah, it was cute. It was real good. Look at her face. It's fine. That's what scars, right? They make us stronger. Also, I had the, I'm still a wannabe birder. I'm really trying. There's just so many of them. But I did really well learning the shorebirds, and if I had just stayed on the Texas coast, I'd have been fine. But obviously, moving around was in my future. That bottom right picture is baby Lauren. We had just rescued, that's a roseate spoonbill that had gotten entangled in monofilament, and I think I'm just holding it till somebody went to go get a giant box so that we could get it to the rehabber. So yes, I have been covered in animal scat and excrement most of my life, and fast forward a few slides, I get paid to do it now. So hold on. Outside of after grad school, I headed to Austin, Texas. So I traded crashing waves for crashing cymbals, the sparkling city by the sea to the live music capital. It was quite a culture shock and an adjustment for anyone who has lived in either of those cities. But I fell in love with the city, and I took it as an opportunity to my past and my education to really give back. And I accepted a job with the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality and got to be a pollution prevention education specialist and have booths and have community events and teach people about picking up their dog poop. Real glamorous, real glamorous. Like I would make a game out of it. You know, that's me on the right. We'd throw it in the trash can. I have lots of stories. We'll save those for another day. I continued volunteering, and the picture on the right with the three lovely ladies and the dogs, an excuse to be outside, but we volunteered with City of Austin Park Rangers. So every Sunday we'd go to a local park, we'd chat with our girlfriends, we'd take our dogs, and we'd pick up trash. And it was just a phenomenal time, and I'm forever grateful. It was when I was in Austin that I saw all of these yellow warblers, and I had no idea what they were. And I flashed back to okay, help me out because there's so many. Is it Gulf Coast? Is that Corpus Christi chapter? Excuse me? South Texas. I'm sorry. Apologies. There's so many chapters. I had a flashback from my college days, having a booth at Earth Day, Bay Day, sitting next to your booth, and I was like, I want to do that. At the time, I was in grad school and working 3 jobs, so I didn't even sleep. So I knew, we'll file that away, future Lauren's challenge and adventure. When I moved to Austin, whole new world, literally. And I had no idea what was in my backyard. And when I was working at TCQ, oh, she's not here tonight. Hi, Gracie. I had an event at Guadalupe River, and I sat next to the Kerr County. Help me out. What's your chapter? Hill Country. See, Hayes is easy. It's just Hayes County. So anyway, I had a booth next to the Hill Country chapter in Kerrville. And I was just like, I've been applying. I can't get in. Is there a secret handshake? Can I give you money? And I want in. Like, I need this. You don't understand. Similar to Jill's experience. And they were very encouraging and said, let me make a phone call. And Tom Collins, anybody remember him? Is he here? No? Anyway, he might have made a phone call to help plead my case to the Hayes County AgriLife Extension Office, and just helped get me in front of them. At the time, they weren't allowing non-residents to participate and limiting to theirs, and I was just right at the edge. But I will say that those seeds from Corpus Christi and Kerrville and the support that they gave helped me land multiple chapters now. So I originally did my training in 2015 in Hayes County. Absolutely. I finally got in. It took years, but I did it. And it changed my life. You all in this room probably feel the same in some capacity or another. Again, I'm not going to cry because we're not going to be happy tears tonight. I opened so many doors, so many opportunities, but it's the people. You guys are amazing. I hope you realize that. I hope you do. And so I spent a few years. I went in deep and committed to everything and was an officer and a training coordinator and all the things because I found my people, right? I found my happy place and my life was complete. When I moved, the drive to Wimberley and San Marcos was a little daunting. So I jumped ship briefly and landed in the Capital Area Master Naturalist chapter. So more of my extended family. I got really involved being a docent at the Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Center. It was right down the street from my house, and it felt just like a little piece of heaven in my backyard. And I adored every moment I had out there and engaging with guests from literally all over the world. Moved again, and thankfully Hayes didn't deny my return. Repeat offender, I guess, if you will. At this point, I'm just collecting chapter name badges, let's be honest. So I went back to Hayes for a short while, but then because we do everything we can for our family comes first no matter what, I had to make the move from Austin to Fort Worth. Again, so many amazing chapters in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, and I snooped, actually, and looked at their volunteer projects before I committed. Sorry, Cross Timbers. I'm a rebel. I do live in Fort Worth, and I'm not in their chapter, so please forgive me. But I found my people again, which was really nice, moving back to the Metroplex. Again, I left when I was 18. I don't know anyone, and I knew that this was an automatic. I didn't have to, like, these were friends already, like built-in friends. And so that picture on the bottom right, I'm a conservation ambassador at the Dallas Zoo. So I get to teach folks about hippos and elephants. Literally, again, meeting folks from all over the world. And again, I get to do this for volunteer work. Like, I don't know, it just doesn't seem real sometimes. So through Master Naturalist, I'm going to backtrack just a moment. When I was in, I don't remember which chapter. I was living in Austin, we'll say, so one of the two. Lazy, efficient. I'm not sure exactly how you would define it. I wanted a project that was really close to my house because traffic was terrible, right? And I saw that Bat Conservation International had a docent volunteer opportunity at Congress Bridge. Well, that's cool. I work at TxDOT. I could park for free and then y'all know it's expensive to park downtown Austin. I could volunteer, and then because I was a little younger back then, I was already downtown. I could go out and socialize and live music and adult beverages. It is fun. So again, marine biologist, master naturalist, we got this. I did the training. I brought a friend with me. It was a YOLO moment. Let's go. And you guys, I fell in love with bats. Was not a wildlife biology major. Remember, marine biology. Quite a different curve. But I fell head over heels, and I couldn't get enough. And I, again, did not go to school for that. Self-taught at this point, hobbyist. I don't know. Obsessive, can we say? Maybe a little bit. It's fine. And then I started volunteering at Congress. I have the luxury of volunteering that the left slides, or second column on the left. I had the honor and privilege of volunteering at McNeil Bridge with Good Water chapter. You guys here? Absolutely. So again, I'm just like inviting myself to everyone's chapter and family at this point. That middle photo on the is my best friend. Hi, Ashley. She's online too. It was her birthday. She's visiting from Washington State, and I convinced her to go clean up the fruit bat enclosures at Bat World Sanctuary, and that's how we spent her birthday. I mean, I did allow her to clean up, and we did take her out to lunch later, but like this is where I took my best friend for her birthday. She loved it. It's fine. And then again, networks and opportunities. How many folks have been to Bracken Cave? Oh man, yes. Did you cry, or is it just me? I have, every time I go out there, it is an emotional experience. I feel like that little girl watching the Nat Geo and the Discovery Channel again. And I encourage you, if you haven't been, please go, invite me. I will drive you. We will carpool, all the things. If you've been, go again, tell your friends. It's just, we have the 3 largest bat colonies like here in Texas, in our backyard. Like, people need to know these things and protect them and treasure them and love them. You can't boop them on the snoot. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. We'll admire them from a distance. All right, now we get to go into the super nerd photos. Jill did laugh at me on these. So she had her Derple photo. I've gotten to meet some heroes along the way. Can anyone admire the total fangirl moment I'm having with Merlin Tuttle on a Congress Avenue cruise? That is the most ridiculous photo. My coworker Rebecca took it, but I love it, and it is the perfect reflection of how I felt. So I've got to meet the real Batman. I've got to meet the wannabe Batman at Wings Over Wimberley, where our Hays County had a chapter booth. And then I guess you could say I fully embraced the Keep Austin Weird with hanging out under bridges with bats. Who knew that was going to completely change everything? Because of my, continuing education, I had kind of pivoted outside of environmental work. I was working at TxDOT at the time, Texas Department of Transportations. We speak in acronyms, and I apologize. But I was focused on contracts. And I knew I always wanted to get back to being that science nerd and get a paycheck and get to go play outside. So I kept going on, pursuing these, keeping up with Master Naturalist, and it all fell into place. I love when the universe works out like that. 2 years ago, and she's in this room, sorry, somebody gave me a chance, an opportunity, and recognized the bat nerd. Sorry. I have since recruited her, and she is now a Master Naturalist as well. But she saw that spark, and she gave me this opportunity, and I'm a biologist for the Texas Department of Transportation. Well, I wasn't going to do this. I get to support districts in making biological decisions and evaluating impacts to the amazing natural resources of this state. I'm also the statewide bat species lead for our agency. Absolutely. All because I wanted an efficient Master Naturalist volunteer project that was close to my house. Isn't that great? Who knew? Obviously, the universe knew that this was my path and my journey. I have the honor and privilege of working with some amazing folks across the state and assisting our districts in and doing our best to protect those natural resources. And it's phenomenal. I really do feel like I've hit the lottery jackpot. I'm honored and humbled and over the moon. This is my bestie, Daryl the Barrel, here in the middle. We can all do our part, right? Despite our roles and responsibilities wherever we are. I get to work. Obviously, there's a repeat dress. I don't get to wear her very often, so I get to do presentations, attend conferences, go to trainings. Every day is an adventure and challenge for anybody who works in local or state government. But I do feel like the luckiest girl in the world because these paths that I thought were so distinct and separate have all come back together. So hence I had to do the pun of connect the text dots. So now we get to embrace the bat nerd stuff. So keep going with me. We're almost done. I will say it's not too late. Jill's made a major change from career going back to school full time. It's scary and it's vulnerable. And I would say the same in a new career that like I didn't have the background and training in, but somebody had hope in me. And I'm going to prove that that was the best decision, and I'm going to do the best that I can. And I will say, you get these little moments in the universe every once in a while. They're just confirmation, like this is where I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm going to be doing. This has just happened. These two projects have just happened within the last year. The photos on the left with the green background. Wendy Anderson, where are you? Hi, Bo. So this project, I think, was dreamt up by my predecessor, and then it literally fell on my plate and was like, oh, we want to do a joint project with TPWD and TxDOT, and we want to train volunteers to go do bat bridge surveys. We're going to use the Master Naturalist program. I was like, okay, it just ticked all my boxes, so I'm in. The top photo is from our initial survey training down in San Marcos. I'm happy to report we just completed year 1 in the TxDOT Austin district. Absolutely. And we are, Wendy has analyzed that data. We are getting that information out. You guys are help filling in the gaps because we are data poor on our bat species in Texas. Y'all are filling in those gaps. You are supporting the TxDOT agency to get eyes on, because we have tens of thousands of bridges and I can't be everywhere at the same time, but you can be. And we just had our second, I guess, Master Naturalist annual meeting training yesterday, and we will be moving year 2 to the TxDOT Houston district, and there are numerous chapters that are going to get plugged in. I've already gotten an invitation to come stay at somebody's house and come do surveys with you guys. So let's go, road trip. Absolutely. Another great opportunity, and again, just happened within the last year. Dr. Samantha Levers. Yes. Oh, they're sitting all the way in the back. Hi, y'all. So Dr. Samantha Levers is presenting Saturday. You should go. Slightly biased, but yes. She is TPWD's bat specialist. And she was like, hey, we've got to go do these hibernacula culvert surveys. Do you want to go? Yeah. And this was last winter. And at the time, I'd been doing a lot of preparation ahead of the potential listing of the tricolored bat as a federal species under the Endangered Species Act. So we were trying to get all our ducks in a row at TxDOT of what that meant and what we needed to do to clear projects. And I'd never seen one. So it was kind of a bit of an imposter syndrome, but I knew that this trip would be. We walk into these culverts, and there were hundreds of them. I'll give you one guess. Do you think I cried? Yes, just a little, but they were tears of joy. And I got to work with Dr. Levers and some amazing students from A&M, and well, absolutely, sorry, Shaka's up because I went to A&M Corpus, but close enough. We spent 2 grungy days doing duck walks in culverts. I am not as young and flexible as I used to be. I might have been a little sore. Y'all, that was the most magical experience literally of my whole life. And it just happened this year. So who knows what Master Naturalist is going to bring to your front door. So please be open and receptive to that. That's middle photo is me doing white nose sampling on my first tricolor bat. So now it's there in perpetuity. And yes, we are in all of our PPE, safe permits. I promise we did everything by the books. But again, who knew doing outreach under Congress would lead me to crawling through culverts to, study and make sure that our populations are safe and doing well here in Texas. So yeah, it's pretty magical. All right. I promise I'm wrapping up soon. I need to thank these two, obviously. I had this idea a couple years ago for an idea for a session, but I didn't know, they don't want to hear me talk for an hour. I need other people. And then fell off the back burner. And then these two, I was like, yeah. So I was like, I have this crazy idea. And they were like, we're in, sure. And then we got the email from the state office. I've only had to tell Mary Pearl no one time, and I still have guilt over it. So again, we are humbled and honored for this opportunity. These are just our stories, but I know each and every one of you in this room and online tonight have your own. Please come find me. I want to hear them. I'm just one chapter of this amazing story that we collectively bring. And so yes, come find me. Find me on social media. Call me, let's go have coffee. Let's do all the things. But it always comes back to the people. And we're all connected. And I love this, from soil to soul. We are powered by purpose and bug spray. Not all heroes wear lab coats. Some wear hiking boots and wings. And my goal, my wish for each of you is that this organization completely changes your life and flips it upside down, puts you in those awkward places to make you grow, to just be the most amazing citizen scientists to represent our state. I know that we're already doing that, but I think we can do better. I think we can do more. The overachiever in me is saying, yes, we can. Again, we have this amazing opportunity to not only protect our natural resources, but to educate our citizens and inspire this next generation. I did not come from a background of education like Jill, but talking to tiny humans is fun because I know that then they get to go home and be someone else's responsibility. So absolutely. But again, I know how magical and my experience has been, and I want that for each of you. If you want a mentor, an accountability buddy, a group chat, come find me. I'm serious. I've met so many amazing folks throughout this organization. I want to meet all of your beautiful shining faces. And again, hearing the stories, and they're starting to trickle in now since we're vulnerable and exposed our personal stories. And I just know that we're going to continue to do amazing things. And just set the bar so high. For those of you that may be new, there are other states who have similar programs. They're never going to touch what we have. I hope you know that. I hope you do. I hope that whether you have one chapter that you trained with and stayed with, whether you collect every name badge in this state, that you find your people and you get plugged in, because that energy is contagious. Sitting here between these two rock stars is really giving me life right now, and keeping the tears from rolling. But again, those photos in the bottom left are some of my inspirational folks. Gracie, and I know she's on. She's the person from Kerrville who sold me a dragonfly hat before I was even in the program, because I was already wearing the merch before I'd been accepted. And I see her at every annual meeting, and I wish she was here with us tonight. Dick McBride, he was my training coordinator. I thought he was rough around the edges, and I love him to pieces for it. But he pushed me and he challenged me in ways that I wasn't prepared for, but I am greatly appreciative of it. My mentor, Tom Watson, man, I would just follow him around like a little puppy, writing down everything that I could. He was just, spouting all this botanical knowledge. But again, the people that you can learn from in this room and then flip it and what you can share back to them, you guys, like it's just incredible, phenomenal experience. Again, another photo with Mary O'Hara. We did our initial training together, and this is my chosen family. She is my sister from another mister, and those are us rocking our butterfly wings. That middle photo on the bottom, just a couple weeks ago, I had the honor and privilege of being invited to come assist with Elm Fork Chapter's Bat Fest. Man, you guys, we need to do these all over. Call me. We're going to make it happen. My mentor, Steve Yonda, he's here. There's a funny story. We laughed about it the other night when we went to Huntsville. I didn't know for like 4 months into my training program that he was my mentor. I actually tattled on him to our training coordinator and was like, everybody else has a mentor. Where's my mentor? And now he's one of my dearest and closest friends, and I am forever grateful. Thank you for being patient and understanding. That photo on the top right, Tiana's here. So that is Dr. Chuck Lend, is that right? From Corpus Christi Museum, Mr. Parasitology. That was one of my first annual meetings, and it changed my life. I'm really bummed that I missed my first year because that's the only year that I missed annual meetings since I started. And this year is my 10th year with the program. So, but I met Tiana randomly. We took a photo with plushies after his parasitology talk. Now I get to be one of her volunteers at the herbarium. So you never know these people that you're going to meet and cross paths with when it's going to come full circle. And then when we were at the Corpus Christi Aquarium, of course, that was my backyard, and I had to take cheesy pictures with another friend with the Master Naturalist program. So again, be silly, be goofy, be the nerd. It's okay. You're in a safe space. Absolutely. So my challenge is a little on theme because I do work for the transportation department. But my goal for you, my challenge for you is let your impact be intentional, your bridge connections meaningful, and your progress fueled by passion, not perfection. My nicknames have obviously changed over the years. I was Turtle Hugger. Now I might be the crazy bat lady, but you just embrace it and you move on because you've been given a gift, and it is our responsibility to share that with the world. So thank you all so much for being a part of my journey. Thank you so much.
Oh, it is so good to be with y'all tonight. And Lauren alluded it, Jill alluded it too. We're telling you our stories. These are our stories. But I dare you, and I've actually practiced with a few of you during the conference. Susie and I practiced with you. The question is, what is your story? What is your story? What is your story? You've got a story. You've got a story. You've got a background. You've got twists and turns. You've fallen in love. You've fallen out of love. You've waged wars. You've garnered peace. You have a story. We all have a story. My story is about fingerprints. My story is about fingerprints. And fingerprints are kind of interesting because fingerprints by themselves are insignificant. A single fingerprint is relatively insignificant. It isn't, just a single fingerprint. But the culmination of fingerprints shapes a person. The culmination of fingerprints shapes someone. It shapes their lives. And I'll ask a question to the group. Jill, Lauren already mentioned it. A show of hands. How many of you, let's just say as a kid, played outside? Show of hands, show them up. Hold on, let me count them up real quick. 1, 2, all of you. How many of you, show your hands, how many of you, when you went outside, you flipped over a log and you got giddy about a roly-poly? Show of hands. Yes, me too. These are from, especially from if you're a kid, if you're lucky to do that, these are from the fingerprints of our parents. Okay, our parents have a lot of opportunities to put a lot of fingerprints in our lives. Okay, just by proximity, but also hopefully through love and all that stuff too. But they put fingerprints, a lot of fingerprints in our lives. My parents, much like probably yours or grandparents or aunts and uncles, brothers and sisters, maybe. My parents encouraged me to go outside. They encouraged me. They nourished me to go outside. Hey, yes, exactly. So did yours. So did yours. And they may have been doing that, like, oh, go run. Go run. I don't know. I think it was through love. I think it was through love. But we're appreciative of it. We're appreciative of it because I bet your parents did the same. I bet your parents did the exact same thing. My parents also encouraged me to do well in school. They encouraged me to read. They encouraged me to study. These things are relatively important for school. And they encouraged me in that process. I went to Aledo High School, which is west of Fort Worth. And then I went to Weatherford College. My grades weren't great. I'll be honest with you. My grades weren't great. And I couldn't really afford a 4-year school, so I went to a community college. A community college, saved some money. I had to live with mom and dad for a while. Dating was hard. Dating was hard. It's like, hey, do you want to come over to my parents' house? No. And I went to Weatherford College. I went to Weatherford College, and I learned the story of natural history. Have you heard about this? The story of life on Earth? My goodness, it is an incredible story. It is a magnificent story that takes twists and turns, and each little organism has a story in that story of life. It was phenomenal. I fell in love with biology. I graduated with a degree, I think it says general studies on my degree. Very useful. General studies, I got a degree in general studies. But I had an emphasis in biology. I liked biology a lot. I transferred over to Tarleton State University in Stephenville. Holy moly, bleeding purple. God, I still bleed purple. And again, I fell deeper in love with biology. I had fingerprints from teachers. Fingerprints from teachers and professors and books that I read and articles I read. You know, from a distance, those authors were putting fingerprints on my lives. I got to study this little organism on the bottom corner of the screen. Name it if you know it. Does anybody? Pocket gophers. Oh, see, when you guys were going, was that to the gopher? Yeah. I think it was to the gopher. I love gophers. Pocket gophers are amazing. They are magnificent organisms. So I studied the genetics of pocket gophers. Useful information. Useful information. My thesis title, I don't know if any of you have read it. The thesis title has a catchy title. It's very catchy. It is assessing population genetic structure of Geomys brevis using amplified fragment length polymorphisms. You've read it. You've read it. Oh my gosh. I wrote it and I read like half of it. So I graduated with my master's degree. I graduated with my master's degree in 2008. And I had this lovely sheet of paper that is the degree of masters. And in 2008, I went out to the world and I said, I'm ready to be hired. I'm ready. Does anybody remember 2008? 2008, there was a housing crisis, a bit of a recession. It was a rough time to look for a job. A rough time to look for a job. So I had my master's degree, and unfortunately I had to move back home. I had to move back home with my parents. And I remember sleeping on my bed, the bed that I slept on when I was 12. And I stared at my master's degree and my Lego collection. And I said, oh my God, what is going on here? But I stuck in there. I remembered all the fingerprints from the people around my life. And I remembered my passion. It did take me a while to find a job. I ended up, paying it back. I went to Weatherford College and I was an adjunct instructor for Weatherford College. Yeah, very cool to not have insurance. Very cool to get paid less than when I was mowing lawns. So I remember filing taxes, and that first year I filed yearly income was $9,800. I could apply for food stamps. I know it was rough. A little bit before that time, I actually volunteered at a place. I volunteered at a place called the Botanical Research Institute of Texas, BRIT. And I volunteered there. It was phenomenal. And as I was an adjunct instructor, my eyes were always open for maybe a new job, hopefully something that I could move out of my parents' house. Because again, dating was hard. I got some cool Legos. Want to come over? So I went to, I went to Brit as a volunteer. And then as I was looking for jobs, they remembered me. The fingerprints, and Tiana's right over there. My dear boss, Amanda Neal, Barney Lipscomb. Anybody know Barney Lipscomb? Yes, idolized the man. These folks remembered me. They remembered me, and I was fortunate to get a job working in the herbarium. And, my buddies would bust my chops about it a little bit. They did. I don't think I ever told you this, Tiana. But they'd ask, Sam, what did you do today for work? And I said, I filed. I filed for 8 hours. But when you're filing a plant specimen from the west side of Mount Kilimanjaro, when you're filing a plant specimen collected by the hands of Ferdinand Lindheimer, when you're filing a plant specimen collected in Indian territory in 1830s, pretty dang cool. You could do it for 8 hours and you could be happy doing it, and I was. And what's also crazy, it's silly, and forgive the hairs on the back of my neck for standing up. I would go out and collect specimens, and my specimens sit right next to George Engelman's, right next to Ferdinand Lindheimer. It's cool. It's crazy freaking cool. And you've transcribed my garbage. It's phenomenal. And my weeds, you've looked at my weeds. And these are fingerprints through time. These are fingerprints through time that impacted my life. And it was pretty impressive, pretty fun. While I worked at Brit, I also met my wife. Elizabeth. She is a North Texas Master Naturalist. Yes. I taught her how to mount specimens. No innuendos. Basically, a specimen is a plant glued on a sheet of paper. This is a specimen. I taught her how to mount specimens. It was good. I kept my eyes open, even though I love Brit so much. I kept my eyes open for jobs. I got another job working for a municipality. I worked for the city of Mansfield. Mansfield, if you don't know, it's south of Arlington, in between Dallas and Fort Worth. I worked for a municipality. And this is where the fingerprints of Master Naturalists really get involved. I heard about the Master Naturalist program, the Cross Timbers Master Naturalist program, which serves Tarrant and Parker counties. Hey, good, way to go. Hey, hello, friends. In 2013, I took the training. I took the training to become a master naturalist. And God, we hear it so much. We say it so much. These are our people. We say it. We say it. But my God, is it true? It's so freaking true that you find your people. You find your people. And the fingerprints from my fellow master naturalist were imprinted in my life. Also working at a municipality, I needed help. So the Master Naturalist helped me. They were the volunteers that helped me with my programs and with the grand opening and all that sort of stuff. I developed deep relationships with both chapters, my wife's chapter, the North Texas chapter, and then also the Crossed Timbers chapter. And you know this because you've taken the training before, that you get to interact with professionals. You get to interact with legit folks that know natural resources. They know this stuff. They're professionals in this kind of stuff. And I got to interact with several professionals, and I was introduced to two big things that really impacted kind of the trajectory of my life. One of them is mothing. Have you heard about this? Do you know about this? Mothing. That I know, Richard, you love it. You know you love it. Mothing, if you don't know about this, you put up a black light, a UV light, you put up a sheet, and bugs come to you. And if you've not done it, be ready to be excited looking at little bugs. It is incredible. But it also brought something else to my attention, that those little moths, much like fingerprints, seem insignificant. Much like a fingerprint, that little tiny bug seems insignificant by itself. But the culmination of all of those bugs have deep fingerprints in the ecosystem. It's pretty dang cool. It's pretty dang cool to celebrate that nocturnal diversity. A man named Chuck Sexton introduced me to blacklighting, and I don't know the last time I've slept. It is hard to sleep because there are bugs outside. The next tool, and I don't know if you've heard about this, it is called iNaturalist. Have you heard about this? Do you know about this? Derek Broman, who was a Texas Parks and Wildlife, urban wildlife biologist, introduced this to me. Little did he realize that he introduced me to a monster. He introduced me to a monster, a lovable, huggable, welcome monster. And man, oh man, I have not turned away since. That fingerprint changed the trajectory of my life. I kept my eyes open as I did, looking for other positions still. And one of the ones that popped open was with Texas Parks and Wildlife. Have you heard about them? Yes. Hey, good. Yay. Yes, very good. So one of the positions that opened up was actually Derek's position, was the urban wildlife biologist in Dallas-Fort Worth. And I said, oh, this looks pretty interesting. This looks pretty interesting. Now I'm an urban wildlife biologist, and kind of interesting. It introduced me to a new ecosystem. An interesting ecosystem. One of the newer ecosystems on the planet, the urban ecosystem. And the urban ecosystem is an ecosystem. It is a mosaic. It is a mosaic of gray spaces and green spaces. They make this picture of organisms that move in between those different places. And kind of interesting too, that your yard, that little dinky park, that vacant lot, that drainage ditch is like a fingerprint. It's like a little tiny fingerprint, insignificant by itself, but when combined with all of the other fingerprints, the culmination of fingerprints, it creates the urban ecosystem. It's pretty cool. And I've been able to continue my use of iNaturalist. I've been using it daily for the past 11 years. 11 years, over 3,000 consecutive days. I make a point of it. I make a point of it. No, hold your applause. Stay seated. Stay seated. I make a point of it that every single day we have an opportunity to interact with nature. Maybe it's a day that you're bedridden. I bet in your corner, the corner of the room, there's a little spider waiting to be observed. I betcha. So I've been using it, and I've been using that tool to tell the story of the fingerprints, to tell the story of the fingerprints of all the quote unquote insignificant tiny bugs, to tell the fingerprints of that little park that has some pretty interesting biodiversity, but also the fingerprints of the people documenting things. The community, the constituency, my fellow naturalist, the fingerprints that you put on a naturalist tell a story. They tell a story of the urban ecosystem and of the naturalists that live within it and amongst it. One of my absolute favorite parts of iNaturalist is that it's a global community. You know, and we typically say, you know, I found my people when we get together with Master Naturalists. Well, this is what we say as we gather together here in Texas at conferences, or just with your individual chapters or several chapters, that you found your people. But let me tell you something amazing. There is a global community of naturalists. There is a global community of naturalists. The fingerprints are global. One of the beautiful things about iNaturalist, and one of the things I love to do, is to explore iNaturalist. I use the website. I don't use the app, I use the website. And I explore the website. I explore places. I dare you, I double dare you, to look for the dragonflies of Russia. Did you know that there are dragonflies in Russia? I dare you to look at the dragonflies of the Ukraine. I dare you to look at the dragonflies of Iran. Look at the dragonflies of Saudi Arabia. Look at the dragonflies of China. And not only will you see dragonflies, but you will see the people documenting said dragonflies. And to say I found my people is pretty cool when you can do this in a global instance. You know, some of these folks, I'm looking at Human from Iran, Ahmed from Saudi Arabia, Juan from China, Marina from Russia. Marina and I probably have some philosophical differences. We probably have some ideological differences. We probably have political differences. But you know what's kind of cool? We like talking about dragonflies. And if just for a moment, just for a freaking moment, that all of those ideological differences just go away when we're looking at dragonflies together. Last year, I was super lucky, very fortunate to go to Saudi Arabia. I went to Saudi Arabia for a week. I've got a brother-in-law, a sister, nephew, and niece that live in Saudi Arabia. And I decided, hey, I got to go visit. I'd like to visit them. Saudi Arabia was not on the list of places I really wanted to visit, just to be honest with you. It had a lot of culture shock. A lot of culture shock there. But before I went, I looked at the dragonflies of Saudi Arabia. I looked at the plants of Saudi Arabia, and I started messaging some folks. I messaged my fellow naturalist. I had to use Google Translate in some cases, but I messaged those folks. And I got together with Ahmed Al-Masori, who's a botanist there in Saudi Arabia. And it was freaking awesome. It was freaking amazing. Another little bit of culture shock. He had the Saudi, it's got a name, not a Asari, but he had the garb on of Saudi Arabian. And it was like, oh, cool outfit. You know, that's sort of what he wears. That's just what you wear in that. And for the whole time, again, Ahmed and I probably have some different philosophical differences, some different ideologies. But as we were out looking at plants together, it was one of us. It was me. It was me that I was talking. He was I was he. It was pretty dang cool to be part of it. And therein lies my challenge. The challenge that I challenge you to do is to recognize that every interaction you have can be influential. Everything you do is a fingerprint That fingerprint can be the conversation with the next door neighbor about the benefits of snakes. That fingerprint can be a school lesson talking about spiders. That fingerprint might even be a removal of the invasive species, putting in a pollinator garden, putting in a new trail. That little fingerprint may be putting on an identification on a naturalist or a comment of cool dragonfly of Saudi Arabia. I'd like to visit you someday. It may be all of these little tiny things that may seem insignificant, but we, my friends, we are the culmination. We are the products of lots and lots of fingerprints, and that's a pretty cool thing. So you got our challenges. Jill had the great challenge. If you want to grow, you got to stretch. So this is, try something new, try something novel. You can benefit from these sort of things. Lauren had recognized that things can be impactful, very impactful. Using those bridge connections, there's so many folks, different life experiences that we all have that are part of our stories. Using passion. Using your passion, having that be the major driving thing. And again, my challenge was to recognize and maybe even hopefully you accept and realize that everything you do is a fingerprint. And make some new fingerprints. Do it. Make some new fingerprints, and the next thing you know, you might have recruited a new master naturalist or changed the trajectory of someone's life. With that, I guess, if you have any questions for us, what's kind of neat about this, about the Keynote address, is that we are Master Naturalist. So we're here with you. We paid for this conference too. So it's kind of funny, through the state, of course, but we paid for this. When Mary Pearl, we were like, hey, what is our speaker fee? Mary Pearl said hugs. And we said, we will take it. We will take it freely. So I encourage you, and hey, something else, it may take people aback with the question, but finding out what other people's stories are is a pretty fun adventure too. What's your story? What's your story? If someone were to ask you that right now, what would you say to them? What would you say to them? Would you go, oh, as a kid, I did this? Or would you say, as a retired person, I did this as a living? Would you say, oh, I really like bugs or birds? So the story that you have in your life is pretty dang beautiful. Not to be braggadocious, but we all have really cool stories. We have really cool stories and really cool experiences. With that, if you have any questions.
Wait, time out.
Oh, please.
These are just our chapters. And so again, like a culmination, the fingerprints, the impacts, the community. We want to hear your stories. Please come find us. And we want to be super nerds because our families are at home supporting us from a distance. Would you guys join us for a selfie before we do Q&A? Okay.
Yes.
All right, Jill, you ready?
Okay.
Hi, Grandma, if you're watching.
And we're going to face this way, so bear with us.
Start finding the question while we do this.
Yeah.
Sure.
Will you?
Yeah, sure. I've got a wingspan.
Hello. There we go. While they're getting ready for the selfie, can we give them a round of applause, please?
All right.
Amazing. Okay, we will have our 2 student program aides with 2 roving mics for your questions. If you are online, I don't think you can see me from down here, but if you are online, put your questions in the chat. We will try to get to those as well. So if you have a question, go ahead and raise your hand now. Also, real quick before that, I know the last thing we have tonight is the mothing, but the guy who does the mothing is right here. So you're not missing anything. I know it's past 8, but you're not missing anything. So feel free to ask your questions. I won't say we'll be here all night, but we can be here for a little bit longer.
And the lights are on. Actually, the lights are on right now. So I left the lights on, my friends. I hope no one stole the batteries. They're pretty good here at A&M.
I think you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
So the lights are on. And it just also real quick, if you don't know where it is, if you're welcome to join us, if you have to, or if you'd like to, no obligations. They're running along Wellborn Road. So kind of parallel as you exit the convention center, as you exit this place, you'll see some on the bushes over here. One of the entomology folks, as they came by me, they said, "Oh, you're doing some black lighting here tonight." And he said, I'll go ahead and say it. He said, "Oh, these conditions couldn't be worse." So there's a lot of light.
Challenge accepted.
noise, there's
Challenge
sun,
accepted.
there's-
Challenge
There's not many
accepted.
natives, but you never know. As far as I know, black lighting has never happened over here by the convention center. So whatever we see will be new.
Ah,
Okay, go ahead and raise your hand for any questions.
testing. Oh, you can hear me.
Oh, sorry, I've got it.
Scott.
Woo. So my question is, you've told us about your childhood. You've told us about present. What's next?
I'll go. Okay, so we started with the Great Bat Bridge Survey, and I'm taking that statewide. I'm gonna just throw that out in the universe right now, Wendy. I'm sorry. No, we're in it together. That's my personal challenge. Again, just continuing to do amazing things. Meet every single person in this room is my personal challenge. And inspire the next generation, the next round, be a mentor, recruit, retain all of the folks that we are committed to in our training committees. And yeah, like take over the world. Like, is that too much to ask for? Right?
Pinky in the brain.
Absolutely.
That's a really great question. I ask myself that all the time. I guess my immediate next step would be to become Dr. Zipperer. And then from there, I'm going to see where the universe takes me. I've got some different routes of potentially becoming a professor, or doing education director work with zoos or parks, informal science. Stay in this nerd world.
Will you bring costumes?
Always.
So I am inordinately grateful. I am living the dream. God, I'm living the dream. So, and actually, Richard, my grand boss is here right now. Richard, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. Richard took a risk on me. Richard, you took a risk on me. Let me tell you why. The risk was I didn't graduate from Texas A&M. That was one risk. The second risk is I didn't have a background in natural resources. I had no wildlife background. I mean, I don't know how much we talked about gophers during the interview. I don't think much. So I am inordinately grateful, eternally grateful to be in a position where I genuinely feel fulfilled and rewarded, and just a lot of new challenges. Love those new challenges. So I kind of want to ride this wave and see where it ends. Cool. Scott did have a question. Yeah, for the people online.
Oh.
Thanks, Zach. Hi, folks. In the not too distant future, I will have been a master naturalist for 1/3 of my life.
Wow.
And you guys, Sam in particular, have helped me shape that journey. Over the last 13 years, I've gotten to know Sam real well. I have just met Lauren and I have just met Jill, and they too are a part of my fingerprints now. And I want to thank, and this is not so much a question, it's a thank you. And I think we all owe you a thank you. And if you would all join me by standing and wishing them a thank you, I'd appreciate it.
Stop it. Scott, we have an ongoing tab. We got a tab that's going. Thank you. It's silly. One of us. And I'll speak on behalf of y'all. We're just part of this community. My dear friends, we're just part of this community, which is way cool. I mean, it's way, way cool that you thanked me, but the gratitude is mutual. So the fingerprints are all around. You know, everybody's getting touchy in here. So the fingerprints are all around, and they're very influential. Again, no innuendos. I'm talking about influences. So Scott.
And maybe we'll see one of you up here next year
Yeah.
telling your story.
I did see a hand. Dave, did you have a question? No. Okay. That's right. I thought you did. I'm sorry.
Again, we are standing between you and evening activities and black lighting. We will be here all weekend.
Yeah.
Find us, call us, text us, all the things.
Yeah. Tell us your story.
Absolutely. I cannot wait to hear each and every one of your stories and your impacts, and let's do great things. Thank you. Thank you guys, each and every one of you.
Oh, awesome.
There's nothing that I can say that hasn't already been said. I'm super grateful for the opportunity, and I'm really honored to have been chosen to come and talk to each of you. And I would like to reiterate what they said. Please come talk to us, tell us your stories, but also please come tell me your favorite animals so that we can talk about it. Because I think my husband's tired of hearing me talk about it.
I really love bats.
Oh, we'll talk about bats later. Hey, do you like moths?
My favorite bug is a toad bug. Let's talk. It's a toad bug. Look it up. There you go. Any announcements, Hannah, or anything like that?
Yeah, that was fantastic. So, if you are wanting to share this with your chapter members who are not able to make it today, this will be on our website on the TMN Tuesday page, like every TMN Tuesday is. Because we're here this week, it probably won't be up until next week. So just be a little patient with me. Give me some time to get it up there, but it'll be up there for you to share with all your chapter members and share this great presentation with them as well. As we've mentioned, there's more mothing happening tonight. Loops down Wilburn all the way down to the ILCB building, which is just on the other side of the Gene Stallings garage. So you have a nice little loop that you can make around the hotel.
Speaking of which, if you came to the luncheon, what was his name? Crispin?
Skylar.
Skylar, I know I'm bad with names. Skylar talked about the windows. If you want to look at those windows, there's a moth setup right next to it. So another thing that you can use to also enhance your education and stuff too.
Yes, yeah. And then once you're done with that, once you're tired, if you ever get tired, you can, tomorrow morning we'll be here for breakfast at 7 a.m. and then another full day. Have a good night.
Let's go look at some bugs.